Chiefs Kingdom, welcome back to All Chiefed Up. We're back with another podcast for that ass. And Patrick Mahomes has restructured his contract. We're going to jump into all that. And they actually freed up $2.5 million on cap room this year, Steve. Is there a trade looming? Are we gearing up to go after somebody? What's going on? Let's talk about it.
Hey, before we get the show started, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. 95% of our viewers are not subbed. We're trying to get to 20K before the season ends, so do that. Hit the like button to get this out to more Chiefs fans. Mike, they freed up a little bit of cap space restructuring Mahomes. What could they possibly be up to?
I don't know. Adam Schefter comes out today and said the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes have restructured his agreement, giving him $210.6 million between 2023 and 2026, the most money in NFL history over a 4-season span. He also goes on to say, Phil Yates comes out and says that this opens up $2.5 million in 2023 cap space for the Chiefs. That's great, right? We've also got some notes here from Brad Spielberger. He says that it was reported Florio 208.1, but he left off 2.5 million in incentives, and that he has a $21 million raise coming this year, Steve. What are we opening up $2.5 million for? That is the ultimate question that everybody's asking. I tend to think that Brett Veach is just playing it safe, keeping some money on the back burner. You don't want your bank account to be dead broke, like just in case you have a little emergency you got to deal with. But could we possibly be maybe getting Clyde? Clyde went way down on snap counts. If I bring up the snap count here, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Steve, he had 11 snaps in week 2. Now, he was coming off of a sickness over the week, but maybe they're seeing life without Clyde a little bit and saying, hey, there was a big injury on Monday Night Football last night, Steve.
That's a possibility, bro. I'm not real sure about it, but we're going to talk about it. First off, Mahomes restructure all that money, well freaking deserved.
Well
Every
spent.
penny, well spent. That is the best quarterback ever. The greatest of all time. So happy they got that done. Got him looking good. Florio can be happy that Patrick Mahomes is making all the money. He's sleeping
Super
good
pumped
tonight. But yeah, man, the Browns saw Nick Chubb with a nasty injury, bro. And I don't like it. I feel bad for Nick Chubb. It looks so bad it could be career ending for this guy because that was a knee he already had redone.
Look, nasty was not the word for it. Like, if this was his knee at the end of the play. Oh, my God. It was disgusting. It was disgusting. Prayers for Nick Chubb, by the way. That really, like you just said, could be career ending. But, look, they have Jerome Ford coming in. They got Pierre Strong out of South Dakota there as the 1-2 punch as of now. They've got a couple other guys on the roster, on the practice squad. But maybe they need a vet, a trusty vet like Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And possibly, Steve, could we see them throw out a draft pick for Clyde? Could we see them maybe a little player-for-player swap? Is there anybody on the Cleveland Browns that you would consider maybe a little player swap for?
Well, it just depends on what the Chiefs want to go for. A lot of people think we're still looking for a receiver, which I tend to think we're probably not because we have 7 on the freaking roster right now.
It's going to
be tough. There's just not room for it. But if they were to go for a receiver, Mike, there's a guy named Donovan Peoples-Jones playing for the Browns right now. It looks like they've been utilizing him less this season than they did last year. In 2022, he had 95 targets, 61 receptions, 839 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
Right.
This was a guy that was drafted in 2020, the same year as Clyde. He was a 6th-round draft pick, I think. But he's a 4.48 40 guy, a big body. I think he's, 6'2", 204?
Yep.
He's a Michigan Wolverine. We know how we like our Michigan Wolverines in Kansas City, usually on the defensive side of the ball. But, yeah, that's a receiver that they could definitely look at, Mike. He showed a lot of promise with the Browns, and they're not using him this year. Look, they have a lot of guys now.
Donovan Peoples-Jones took 96% of their snaps last year on offense. Why they stopped using him, I don't know. They did draft Cedric Tillman out of Tennessee, and they used him all preseason.
They drafted David Bell last year. They also drafted Jalen Darden. They acquired Marquise Goodwin, Amari Cooper. They have Elijah Moore now. Anthony Schwartz, of course,
traded for Elijah Moore.
But dude, they have so much depth at receiver.
Maybe they could trade.
That would be one. But is Donovan Peoples-Jones even good enough to crack our top 7 receivers? That's the question.
I mean, I think he probably could, but that also would probably mean the end of the Justin Ross experiment. And I don't know if we're ready to give up on that.
Because they're not.
What about Richie James?
Give up on the
Richie
Justin
James
Watson.
is not. Hey, I agree there. But Richie James has struggled so far too. maybe by week 5, week 6, if he's not caught on, you could get rid of Richie James and maybe pull something like this if you needed to. So, not saying this is a thing.
Yeah, right. It's hard to look into the future like that, Mike. It's so early in the season. We don't really know what Richie James is going to contribute because I still think he's going to be a good receiver. Right. I think he fits in Kansas City's offense. I just think it's going to take time. And I think we're good on the receiver front, man. We just got to figure out how to work in Sky Moore, work in Rashee Rice, work in Richie James, get them in the offense, get them contributing, get them comfortable. I think we'll be fine there. So I don't know if they'll be looking at a receiver, but they very well could be. And Mike, there's some other options out there as well. I know that Minnesota is not big on Madison right now. No. They're just not. They're throwing out death threats at this man because they said the run game was so bad.
Right. Alexander Madison's not doing it for him right now. Maybe they could take a look at Clyde. That's been brought up a few times. What could these guys give for Clyde? What could Clyde possibly garner? I don't think it's much more than a 6th or 7th round pick. Maybe in a situation like Cleveland, if they really wanted that veteran presence, they can maybe throw a 5th. But with Minnesota, I was looking. There's a few guys on Minnesota that intrigued me a little bit. They drafted a cat last year named Jalen Naylor out of Michigan State. Very fast. His nickname's Speedy, 6 foot 190. He hasn't really done a lot. He only had 9 receptions for him last year. He just can't get on the field. Like, he just can't do it, but he's a good punt return option. He's very fast. He's good in the kick return. I know we need that. Dave Tobe and everybody has been struggling. We just seen Richie James struggle with it this time. But they've also got another guy on their roster who's played for 4 years, and he's a little bit more of a name that everybody knows. But maybe if they can get Justin Jefferson re-signed and everything going with that, these guys got a lot of good receivers. Maybe they let KJ Osborn get out of their grasp a little bit, maybe over to the red and gold. Maybe that's a few names thrown out there. They're not, prolific names or anything like that, but these are the kind of guys that Brett Veach would have to target. I think targeting people like Mike Evans and things like that, I think that's a pipe dream, and I just don't see that happening.
Right. It's just way too expensive for what we have, right? And I think if you're going to deal Clyde around, obviously you're not going to be going after some huge name like that. You'd have to give up the house with him. But yeah, man, KJ Osborn's a good option. That's a Miami guy. He's a little bit smaller than Donovan Peoples-Jones. He's a little bit older. He's 26 now, but he's been pretty good with the Minnesota Vikings, man. They seem to love him there. I don't know if they would actually get rid of him, but hey, like you said, they have a good receiving core now. They went and drafted Jordan Addison. They also obviously have Jefferson, the best receiver in the freaking league. So, I mean, that's a possibility. But, I mean, overall, Mike, I don't know if we even need a wide receiver. I know there's people out there that think we do, but I just don't think we do. I don't think that's the route we go. They'll probably be looking to shop Clyde around for some draft picks. If I had to guess right now, I think they would be going for draft picks if they were to get rid of Clyde. Obviously, Clyde could have just saw a reduction in snaps because of the illness. That could be it. We might see him come out next week and be right back up at the top.
Oh, for sure.
Snap count.
100%.
So
it's all projection.
Have to wait and see.
Yeah, it's projection with Clyde at this point. One more thing about the receivers. Like you said, a lot of people were calling for Justin Ross to have more snaps. He went from 6 snaps in week 1 to 9 snaps in week 2. So that was, on a positive note, a 50% boost in snaps that he's seen. If he continues on that pace, we're looking at 14, 15 next week. And if not next week, maybe over the next few weeks, I'd say by week 5, he's into the double digits. Maybe they're just grooming him along to be something good. Maybe we just got to be more patient with these guys, and I think that's exactly what has to happen. We just need more patience, but that's going to do it with that.
That time's yours.
Let's get it going. Jan Fry Gable. We love Jan here at All Chiefed
Jan's
Up.
freaking
Jan
awesome.
is an
She's
OG
a legend.
supporter. A legend. She said Donovan Smith's catch was hilarious. He became a statue, didn't move a muscle.
Mike, how much was I laughing at that?
We were cracking up.
I was cracking up, dude.
First, it hits him right in the junk, by the way. He had no choice but to catch it, and he probably had no choice but to stand there and try not to die because he was probably getting ready to cry a little bit.
The funny part was it's like he wasn't fooling anybody. Like, if they didn't know he was ineligible already, he gave it away instantly because he just acted like he shouldn't be touching the ball. Like, it's poison.
Hey, you ain't never seen no wide receivers looking as good as Donovan Smith out there? That sleek body, you know.
So funny, though. So funny that Patrick Mahomes just saw a red jersey and took a shot, man. He didn't even care.
What is Mahomes doing? He was like, forget it, just take it.
He's trying to make something happen, baby.
I agree. Jay Cruz, our boy Jay Cruz, he was at the game in Jacksonville, and so I wanted to feature this one. He said, great defensive game. The Chiefs found a way. Jones looked stronger than last year. Yes, he did. Kelsey is back, got a TD. KT went 5 for 5 on catches. Sky looked good. The defense is playing fast. It was a great game to see live, and it was Mahomes' birthday. A few too many penalties and a few turnovers. We will be fine. Chiefs 13-4 or 12-5. Jawaan Taylor got benched for a minute. He came back strong. He just needs to get closer to the line a bit. He'll be fine. I wish you guys could have been there. It was 120 degrees on the field, hot. Jay, wish we could have been there too. Now that I know it was 120 degrees on the field, glad I wasn't. Glad I was in the air conditioner. But Steve, we talked about that a little bit. Was the humidity causing Creed Humphrey to have a problem with the snap here and there, because he was basically rolling them back there a few times?
These guys were probably covered in sweat, like instantly.
It had to be horrible.
They stepped on the field. I can't stand a muggy hot day, and to be out there playing football in it had to be rough. But no, man, Jay, glad you had a good time at the game, my man. It was a good one. Patrick Mahomes' birthday. What a birthday! Got the win. Made a bunch of money the next day. I mean, he's just having a good time. But yeah, man. Overall, a good win, and like Jay said, I think there's a lot of positives from this game. There was still a little bit of negative you could pull from it, like, the offense has got to get together. But you saw that happen more and more over the game. Give it time. Be patient with these young guys. A lot of new pieces on the offense as far as receivers go. It's going to be a good year.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Moving along, Jared Williams says, the lack of a run game for me is the most troublesome. The receivers can be great if we just set up a run here and there. That's just my take. Jared, that's the correct take. To be honest, Andy needs to run to set up the pass, but I think he knows his offensive line can't block, so he's passing to set up the run.
Jared, you're not right very often, but when you are, buddy.
That was rude. But anyway.
He gives me crap. I thought I'd give him some crap.
Okay.
But no, he's spot on here.
No, he's right.
Spot on.
Yeah.
We've got to get, like you noticed that in the game, Mike. In the second half, we started utilizing the run more. Pacheco had most of his 70 yards in the second half, and it opened up the rest of the offense. It's just so simple, but we all know that Andy Reid is the type that wants to do things backwards. He wants to open up the run game with the pass game, and sometimes you just can't do that. They play the deep safeties, take away the deep threats from Mahomes. They get him pressing a little bit. That's just what happens. We've got to get the run game to open that up for him.
Look, the offensive line, again, not the best run blockers in the world. I think the zone, the outside zone runs are just not fitting this group. They're not doing it. If you look at the PFF scores, you even seen Joe Tooney struggling. You've seen Creed Humphrey play one of his worst games he's ever played, scored on PFF this week against Jacksonville. Nobody looked good, by the way. I don't think a single offensive lineman scored in the 70s. Yeah, it was horrible. So we just got to shore that up. We got to do more of the inside gap running. I think that's where Pacheco shined. And I think if we start letting Pacheco get 15, 20 carries a game, he's going to wear down defenses. That's just the way it is. Rico, 1 of 1, says Chicago should be a confidence builder for the team, but hopefully it gives the offense a bigger boost. Steve,
I hope so.
Chicago is coming for us. Mahomes, last time he counted Chicago, he was giving them this because they didn't draft him. Mahomes is petty. He's probably going to put one on him.
Look, man, this would be a great game to boost the confidence of everybody. I wish the Chiefs would just go out and romp the Bears. Could we please have an easy game? As Chiefs fans, can we kick our feet up and enjoy the game without, just freaking out, without our blood pressure being up through the roof? Can we just have an easy game? But, a lot of people, Mike, are saying that this is the Colts game of last year.
Could be.
This little trap game here early. But I'm thinking no. Nay. We lost the game already. We dropped one we shouldn't have to the Lions. We can't drop 2 in the first 3 that we shouldn't have lost. I think the Chiefs are going to be out here and make a statement with this game. Right. I don't think they're happy with how they played for the first 2 games of the season. Even though they pulled the W out of Jacksonville, I think they're still not happy with how they performed, but they are on the right track. Our defense has been absolutely awesome. Spags has had this defense humming early and often. I think that they're going to look good again next week.
Right.
I don't think the Bears have much on offense. I'm not a big Justin Fields guy. I think he's overrated. I don't think he's ever going to be it for them. I just don't. I think that we can shut them completely down. It's the offense that I want to look at, Mike. This is a game where they get right.
Our next few opponents haven't even won a game. The Chiefs can't afford to have a letdown. We got to keep getting better. I think Nagy's going to want to prove something here. I think Mahomes still wants to prove something here. I think all of our receivers still need to prove something. I think our offensive line want to prove something. I believe we're going to come out, and I think it's going to be a good game. It's going to be a get-right game. I don't think we have a stutter game. I don't see it. I think we're going to do well. We're going to talk about that more later on in the week, obviously, the closer we get to Chicago. And, Steve, that's going to wrap it up for today. Thank you guys for liking, subscribing, clicking that bell. We'll catch you guys next time. Go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs.
Aside from my soul.